All right, let's get into it. Today, we're talking about a tool that has kind of quietly completely changed the game for anyone in coding, data science, or AI. I'm talking about Google Collaboratory, or as pretty much everyone calls it, Colab.
So just imagine this for a second. You've got a brilliant idea for a machine learning model, but your laptop, well, it sounds like it's about to take off every time you open a big spreadsheet. So what if you could tap into the power of a high-end computer, one that's built for AI, without paying a dime and without installing a single thing? That's the exact promise we're going to dig into today.
So what even is Google Colab? Well, at its core, it's a product from Google Research that lets you write and run Python code right from your web browser. And honestly, the best way to think about it is this. It's basically Google Docs, but for code. It's interactive, it's super easy to share, and it all just lives in the cloud.
So here's how we're gonna break it all down. First, we'll cover what Colab really is and why it's such a massive game changer. Then, I'll show you exactly how easy it is to get started. After that, we'll put it head-to-head with the classic Jupyter Notebook, and finally, we'll zoom out and look at what all this means for the future of coding.
Okay, so let's dive into the fundamentals. At its heart, Colab is all about giving you a powerful coding environment without any of the usual headaches. Just think of it as your own personal supercomputer ready to go whenever you've got an internet connection.
There are a few key ideas that make Colab so special. First off, zero setup. I mean, anyone who's ever tried to set up a Python environment knows the pain of managing all the different versions and libraries. Colab just makes that disappear. It's built on the Jupyter Notebook format, which is probably familiar to a lot of you, but here's the real kicker. It gives you free access to incredibly powerful hardware like GPUs and TPUs, which you absolutely need for serious machine learning. You combine that with real-time collaboration and perfect Google Drive integration, and what you get is a seriously powerful tool.
So why do we keep calling it a game changer? Well, it's because it just systematically knocks down the biggest hurdles that used to stop people from getting into fields like AI and data science. It's all about making this stuff accessible to everyone.
Okay, let's really unpack these advantages, because this is where it gets good. The free hardware is huge. It completely levels the playing field. A student in their dorm room can suddenly use the same kind of processing power as a researcher at a major corporation. This means you could train an image recognition model, a task that would make a normal laptop just weep right from your browser. The no installation part saves you countless hours of pure frustration. And then the collaboration and drive integration, it just means teams can work together as easily as they would on a shared Google Doc. It's that smooth. And listen, this isn't just me saying this. This quote from an engineering professor just nails the real-world impact. In a classroom, being able to standardize the environment means you get to focus on teaching the actual concepts, not playing IT support for 30 different computers. It just perfectly shows how Colab gets rid of the technical roadblocks, letting people focus on what really matters, learning and creating. Okay, so you're probably thinking, this sounds great, but how hard is it to actually get started? The answer is, it's not hard at all. In fact, you can go from zero to running some seriously powerful code in under a minute.
It really is this simple. First, you just head over to the Colab website and sign in with your Google account. Second, you click New Notebook, and boom, that's it, you're in. But here's the magic trick. You go to the Runtime menu, select Change Runtime Type, and just like that, you can switch from a standard CPU to a powerful T4 GPU. You've just accessed high-performance computing with, 2 clicks? It's incredible.
Now, a really good question you might be asking is, okay, if this is all in the cloud and it's so easy to share, what about security? What happens to my secret API keys? And that's a totally valid concern. But Colab has a really slick feature to handle exactly that. It's a feature called Secrets. Over in the sidebar, you can securely store sensitive stuff like your API keys. You just give your secret a name, paste in the value, and then you can call it from your code without ever having to type the key itself into a code cell. This is a super important feature that makes Colab a great tool not just for learning, but for real professional work too.
You really can't talk about Colab without comparing it to the tool that started it all, the Jupyter Notebook. They look and feel really similar, but their whole philosophy is different, and that leads to some pretty big pros and cons for each.
So here's the high-level breakdown. Colab is all about the convenience of the cloud. Google manages everything, there's no setup, and is built from the ground up for sharing. Jupyter, on the other hand, is all about local control. It runs on your own computer, which means, yeah, you have to install it, but it also means you are in complete command of your environment.
and you're only limited by the power of your own machine. This table here makes the trade-offs crystal clear. For setup, Colab has none, Jupyter is a manual job. For hardware, Colab gives you free GPUs, with Jupyter you use what you've got. For collaboration, Colab is simple and real-time, while Jupyter requires you to share files manually with tools like Get. And for security, and this is a big one, it all comes down to whether you're cool with your data being on Google's cloud or if you need it to stay on your own machine.
So, when is Colab the obvious winner? Well, it's perfect for beginners and students who just want to start coding without any hassle. It's a no-brainer for anyone who needs access to powerful GPUs but doesn't want to buy them. And it's definitely the best choice for team projects where a bunch of people need to work on the same code at the same time. Plus, it even integrates with GitHub, so you can save your work right to your repositories.
But Jupyter definitely still has its place. If you're working with super sensitive data that absolutely cannot leave your local network, Jupyter's the way to go. It gives you total control over your environment, it works offline, and you don't have to worry about the session timeouts or resource limits you might run into on Colab's free version. It really just depends on what your project needs.
So what does a tool like Google Colab mean for the big picture? You know, it's more than just a convenient tool. It really represents a fundamental shift in who gets to build the future.
If there is one single thing to take away from all this, it's this. Colab is a democratizing force. By getting rid of the high cost of hardware and the technical headaches of setup, it's opening the doors to AI and data science for a huge global audience of thinkers, creators, and innovators.
And you know, while the free version is amazing, this just shows that even more power is super easy to get. For about the price of a Netflix subscription, Colab Pro gets you even faster GPUs, more memory, and longer runtimes. And this isn't an ad. It's just proof of how incredibly accessible world-class computing power has become.
So we'll end on this question. For decades, access to serious computing power was a huge bottleneck for innovation. But now, tools like Colab are pretty much removing that barrier entirely. So, what happens next? When anyone with a great idea has the tools they need to build it, what new breakthroughs are just waiting for us right around the corner? That's the exciting future that Colab is helping make possible.